welcome back. And today we are going actually to discuss another interesting topic, talking first of all, the proverb says, like father, like son. Well, definitely you have met before with Mr. Ahmed Gabr, and Mr. Ahmed Gabr actually has the world's deepest dive record in Guinness World Records, and talking about he is an international diver right now. Today actually we're going to talk in particular about his life with his son, how he is encouraging his son. Actually he's still a young boy and he's very much interested in diving. He wants to follow the same steps of his father. He's going to dive today actually for 12, or I think next May he will dive for 12 meters. Right. So first of all, let me welcome my guest today. We have Mr. Ahmed Gabr. First of all, welcome to the show. And also we have our young diver, Adam. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask Adam, well, have you gone with your father on diving excursions?
I've been on a safari, but I've never been diving.
Never been on diving. Do you like diving?
Yes.
Mr. Ahmed, tell me first of all about the idea of encouraging your son to have something like this, because this is something of great importance, encouraging our children to have their own sports, especially because definitely it looks he is interested on his own. You did not push him. No. So this is of great importance. How do you encourage him and why this is something important?
Well, it's well, diving is very common in Egypt. Unfortunately, you know, like a lot of people don't know about diving. It's a very costly sport, you know. Like so, after I broke the Guinness World Record title of the deepest scuba dive, I thought about establishing another record, which is the underwater cleanups, like building up the marine awareness bit among specifically young divers. So my goal in the next, in the future, is like to start to encourage this sport, you know, with the marine environment, you know, like preservation, you know, like with young children, you know, like. So I started with my son, you know, like it's gonna be a big campaign, you know. I'm going to launch that between universities, you know, like and schools as well. Yeah.
Actually, this is not the only campaign you're involved in. You're involved in several tourism promotion campaigns. One is to promote your country campaign, and the other is to promote tourism in Russia. So would you tell us about these initiatives?
Well, I'm not going to Russia, unfortunately. You know, like I think the time.
Yeah, but you're supporting it, aren't you?
I'm supporting that, of course. You know, like I've been to the press conference. You know, like that was in one of the hotels in Heliopolis. I think it's gonna be a big campaign, you know, like it's local. I mean, like it's not governmental thing, you know, like. So I think it's someone initiated that, Mr. Ziad al-Sisi, and he's actually inviting a lot of public figures, you know, like in sports field, you know, and arts and so on, you know, like to start to promote Egypt as a country, you know, like. Yeah.
I would like to ask you about the idea of promoting this kind of sports among children, because again this is something of great importance. Actually, as long as tourism these days, we are not on the peak, actually you're talking about the peak of the season, so we can give our time, dedicate ourselves to create or to have new generation. And definitely diving is something of great importance in Egypt. Everyone comes to Egypt to dive. And we need to work on this as a kind of sports to promote it, to encourage our youth to participate in international events. How far can we work on this right now?
Well, this is actually the bright side of like having like this crisis or this dilemma, you know, like in tourism, you know, like the other bright side is you are given the coral reef, you know, like underwater to breathe,
a break.
You know, like. Yeah, break, exactly. This is actually required. I mean, like in some countries, I mean, like people stop fishing. It's forbidden against law. Stop fishing and stop diving. We need to do cleanups. We need just like to give the time for the underwater marine life to regenerate, you know, like evolve again. So right now I'm establishing actually like my own personal academy. You know, like. I'm not focusing with you, I'm not focusing with the nowadays generation. I'm focusing on this generation to start to have a culture for them, you know, like put it in the mentality.
Because we have the culture of swimming, we can see many of the children, they go for swimming training actually. So you want to put both together. Maybe if there is a chance, I'm talking about children in schools.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's right.
So if there is a chance you are working on swimming, you are swimming already, so there is a chance to join diving as well.
That's right. It's diving or water in general is a parallel world. I mean, like we have the space, land, and underwater as well. So it's important, like to start to build the awareness for young children. You know, like give them like more knowledge about what's happening underwater. You know, so they start to build to balance the ecosystem. Yeah.
Mr. Gabr, actually you started diving almost at the age of 18, but actually at what age can children or an individual start or be able to dive?
Well, they can start at 10.
10.
You know, like actually they can start like younger than that, like 8 years old. They can start like programs in the pool. Later on, they can start like at 10. They can start the open water training, like Adam.
Let's yes, Adam, you can tell us about your experience. Tell us, when did you start? How did you do it? What's in your mind about it?
I started being interested in diving when he started telling me about it.
Okay. And then you ask him, I want to dive with you.
Yes.
So what did you do? You started diving in a swimming pool, confined water?
No, I asked him when I can start diving, and he told me at the age of 10.
Okay, and now you are 10,
Yeah.
right? So what is next? What are you going to do exactly?
I'm going to dive in a swimming pool first, then go into deep sea.
So at least, Adam, have you experienced or tried scuba diving, which is easier? It's the surface thing at least?
No.
Not yet?
Well, he's just trying to breathe from my extra regulator, you know, on the surface, you know, like.
But
like
what are the important tips you tell him or teaching him actually?
Say again?
What are the important things that you teach him?
Well, mainly
About
like
diving?
how to communicate. I mean, like this is
The sign
how to
language.
the sign language. This is very important. That's number one. He needs to understand what's going on behind his back as well.
You know anything about the sign language?
Yes.
So tell us, what do you know?
This means okay, and this means barracuda, and
The most important one. You forgot it?
Problem. Up.
up,
Up
and down,
this.
and down.
Problem.
Problem.
Yeah.
Like this if there is a problem.
Yes.
And this means you don't have any oxygen left.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's well, this is one of the things that he needs to communicate first. This is one thing. The other thing is the physics and physiology behind the gases he's breathing, you know, and the underwater stuff in general. Yeah.
Mr. Gabr, actually to accomplish your dive, it took you almost 4 years of continuous training, and when I read the press reviews, you said that you had to do a lot of psychological training as well, and physiological one, training your own body and working on it. So would you talk to us about that aspect, the training of the body and the mind to be able to dive?
Well, it's actually 6 years. Like
6 years, yeah.
6 years. Two of them, it was like practicing how am I going to fail this dive. You know, like I'm putting like a big list of what ifs. You know, I mean, like it's very important to study the failure first. I mean, like to avoid the failure. And then 4 years, I'm approaching like risk mitigation, risk assessment, team sizing, equipment, and all of that. It took me a very long time. It needs like physical training and psychological training. Physical training, it wasn't a problem at all. I mean, like my military background, I mean, like it gave me the chance during all my life long to practice that. Psychological training, that was a big issue here. I mean, like for me, I mean, like I started to ask myself a big question first. I mean, like there's a huge difference between who you are and who you think you are. You know, and then I had to answer this question, you know, frankly, to myself first. So can I actually do the record, or I think I can do the record? And my target was the record or a study behind the record. So my main target was actually the physics and the study behind the record. This is what I was studying, you know, like it took me quite a long time, you know, like to adapt, you know, like to start believing in perceptions. Imagination, visualization, and anticipation problems. You know, like to be able to act. You know, if, in case of troubles or problems.
Adam, do you practice any kind of sports?
Yeah.
What?
Football. Football.
Football.
Yeah.
Again, football, soccer.
Yes.
Why soccer? You like it?
Yeah.
You belong to the Ahli or Zamalek clubs?
Ali.
Okay, good. So, tell me about the sports and the studying in school. First of all, you are clever in school?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, but you have to be all the time. So you find time to study, to go to the club, to practice sport.